Hello, everyone. My name is Shubhayu Sarkar. I lead LTIMindtree's SAP transformation practice. I will take a moment to introduce what we are going to present today. This is the story of Career, which is federated global organizations with sites, business lines, geographies, growth through mergers and acquisitions, with a set of fragmented, diversified ERPs. They started off with that, and with a mandate to modernize and standardize the applications, including the ERP, at the same time to harmonize and transform the business processes. Now, how Career took direction, made the ERP strategy to make a move in that direction, how they came out with a strategy, how they came out with the guardrails around application architecture, technical architecture, process variants, data models, and methodology. To talk it through all, I'll introduce and call on stage Sarah, the ERP CoE Leader at Career, and Ronnie Satyan, Managing Principal from LTIMindtree, who has been working closely with Career for the last 4 years. Sarah.
Thank you. I'm Sarah Strominger, and I started my SAP career in 1997. I'd been with Career for 9 years. I started as a development manager and eventually moved to technology lead. I managed the basis, security, ABAP, PI, CPI groups. And I also did a 1-year stint at the analytics group. And eventually, I came back as a mergers and acquisitions delivery lead. So I'm responsible for delivering projects for mergers and acquisitions. And I'm going to turn it over to Ronnie so he can introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Ronnie Satyan. I'm a principal architect at the LTIMindtree ERP transformation practice. I've been closely working with Career the last 4 years on the ERP strategy journey, and we'll be sharing some of the experiences today.
Can you move aside? So, yeah, a little bit about Career. We actually invented air conditioning. We're also a global leader in intelligent climate and energy solutions. And we're very social and environmental conscious. We know that HVAC accounts for approximately 40% of a building's energy consumption. So to minimize and combat that, we strive to be a catalyst for positive and sustainable change. In fact, one of our ESG goals is to reduce the carbon footprint of the products that we sell to our customers to 1 gigaton by 2030. As of 2022, 30% of our executives are women, so we're also diverse and inclusive. If you guys want to know more about our ESG goals, you can Google Career ESG goals, or you can go to our corporate website and search for sustainability. Next slide, please. So our journey, we are in 160 plus countries, 1,300 facilities. I don't have to read them all, but we're massive. There are 100, back in 2020 and prior to 2020, we had 150 plus ERPs with 70 different kinds of ERP technologies. Our goal is to be a single ERP technology, and that's SAP S/4HANA, and 6 SAP S/4HANA, so 6 ERPs. Our business units back then, these business units are changing because our businesses are constantly changing. We acquire and we do divestitures. Back then, we have HVAC, fire and security, transport and commercial refrigeration, and Chubb. We have divested Chubb already. Commercial refrigeration and fire and security are in the process of being divested. Because of these massive 150 plus ERPs, the operating synergies of our BU were impacted. We were also losing out on consolidation benefits. Some of our parts are manufactured in one ERP and then manufactured in another ERP. And then we have customers in one ERP and in other ERPs, so they don't have a consolidated view of their invoices and their sales. We also had problems with new technology because we have obsolete systems that are integrated to the ERP and we could not upgrade. And there's also, we're hampered with our platforms were hampered with enterprise visibility. That was the business impact. For IT impact, we had, of course, naturally, since there are 70 plus ERP technologies, we had excessive overheads. We have a basis team in SAP India. We have a basis team in SAP North America, a security team in different SAP systems. And with that, our maintenance costs are also higher. We have an SAP contract in another region, another SAP contract in North America. So we could not negotiate for better costs because of the different contracts in the different ERPs. And as I've mentioned, we have obsolete systems that are integrated to the ERPs, and we could not really avail of the new technology and the new way of doing things because of those obsolete ERPs. And it's a big hurdle to ERP CoE functioning. Now, what we did to get us to the journey that we are at right now is we approached LTIMindtree to collaborate. We have asked them to help us consolidate our 150 plus ERPs. So they introduced us to their ERP assessment framework. They carved out a detailed approach to capturing business and IT information. And they worked closely with our senior business leaders and our IT leaders. And that really helped because it helped with the buy-in for the proposed strategy. And they educated our senior leaders with hypotheses, roadmap views, different iterations of that. And it also eased the process of getting board approvals for the project budgets. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Ronnie so he can show you guys what they have done to help Carrier in this journey.
Thank you, Sarah. So as Sarah highlighted, the ERP fragmentation at Carrier was causing acute business pain points and posing an enterprise risk. So the leadership Carrier requested LTIMindtree to collaborate with them on a study of the problem and come up with their ERP strategy. Now, the expected outcomes from this program was first and foremost solve for the ERP problem and created roadmap with a definite timeline, not an endless journey. The second task was to make sure you solve real business problems and just don't transfer legacy problems into a new ERP. The third challenge we saw in the outcome was, Carrier was a dynamic landscape. It was constantly acquiring and divesting companies. So the strategy had to adjust for these changes in the landscape. Also, businesses, were constantly improving and changing the business models. And it is very important to let businesses have the flexibility to time their projects. And that is an important ask from the strategy. And it also had to help Carrier, prepare for the digital era. So with this guidelines from leadership, we set about on the ERP strategy journey. One of the first challenges we discovered was, even the ERP inventory was not very clear. Carrier had 150 to 200 plus ERPs, but what was an ERP is also sometimes a bit murky. So sometimes Carrier had over 300 businesses, and sometimes one single business may use up to 3 ERPs, one for sales, one for operations, one for finance. They even use partial ERPs for supply chain planning and for MRP runs out there. So we have to create a clear metrics of the businesses and the ERPs. The next important step was the ERPs alone were not doing the full business job. Most of the landscapes had very complex ecosystems like engineering configurators, CRM systems, CPQ systems, PLM, MES systems, and they help to complete the business model. So we have to map the ecosystems also to the ERPs and get a matrix of those elements. And then we have to look at the business models which are supported in each ERPs. Like Carrier had various models like engineer to order, configure to order, make to stock, rental businesses, after sales services and spare parts selling out here. So each of these models we are running on either within an ERP or across this ecosystem of applications out there. So once we define the business models, we have to identify the business synergies. Like for example, how do businesses collaborate for sales and supply chain within a region or across regions or across business also. Like there may be a particular factory manufacturing components for the other factory, which could be in the same region or different region. So how do you handle intercompany transaction within those regions and across ERPs out there? So this is also a lead into to see how ERP should be grouped. Now with this baseline information, we create a hypothesis of the North Star. What could the end state look like in terms of number of ERPs and in terms of grouping of regions? And we took this hypothesis to the business leaders and the top leaders right from the CFOs, the supply chain leaders, the VP operations, and run it through them and took their views on the pros and cons, the business inputs they had about what are their concerns, and took the feedback and the corrections to reformulate the hypothesis. Now with the initial hypothesis in place out there, we started adding the risk and the dependencies and the contingencies around that, and we had also looked at the how the digital era could be enabled. So what was the technology that you had to move, not just the ERP but also the ERP platform itself, the technology, right? And then with this we revised the ERP journey, the roadmaps and the number of ERPs, and then once that was circulated with the leaders and the approvals are sought, we started looking at the final timelines, the estimations, got the dollar numbers nailed out here, and then got final approvals for the journey. So the outcome of all of this, it was decided that we will end up in going towards a 100% S/4HANA based landscape, but it will not be a single ERP instance. It will be around 6 S/4HANA instances based on the business units and regions. The reason for going S/4HANA was it was the best ERP to meet the business objectives and also create the digital core. So that was universally approved by the leadership out there. Now the next important ask for business was, while they wanted to go be on this journey and to modernize and solve for their problems, they also wanted to have the freedom to time their projects and not just be rushed in the projects out there. So the way this was planned was, we created individual waves, and each of these waves will take them towards the end state. So like wave 1 will be having a set of projects, and each wave would have a set of businesses working on that, and with a set of projects for consolidation and modernization. So the business were given a choice, like you have a three-year cycle for your wave out here. Now the target ERP writes SAP. Right now it's an ECC platform. You can go there and come out of your absolute ERP. Wait for a couple of years, go to S/4HANA, and then do the journey out here. So they had a flexibility of 3 to 4 years within the wave out there. So this gave them that freedom to choose the timing of their projects out. So each of these waves still have to be individually funded. We have to build a business case, and it's not a centrally one-time kind of funding exercise. Each wave had to be funded separately. And we have to. The next step was to create a foundation, and foundation is not just preparing for the projects, but also creating a back-end model for the ERPs to bank into, and this was from the central finance and Ariba projects, which are supposed to help the ERP take some of the burdens away from localization, non-critical operations. So the central finance and Ariba projects form their own track, but they are dovetailed into the ERP strategy itself. Okay. So having formulated the strategy, the next thing was to flesh it out in more details, because the strategies talked about the general approach and the number of ERPs and technologies out. And as I said, we had a wave-based approach, we'll have a number of waves. Now the next step was to detail out each of those waves, especially starting the first wave. Now ERP strategy is not just about ERP consolidation, it's also about modernizing the landscape, about the cloudifications, about the infra changes, and all that will be part of the roadmap, and this has to be detailed out. As I mentioned, the Ariba and central finance projects had to start first as a backbone to the ERP projects, and for this we have to prepare the ERPs itself. For example, if you are doing central payments in central finance, you need to make sure the ERPs are not changing their configurations for receivables and payables out there. So we have to prep the ERPs and the business to change over as they also preparing for the ERP journey. Next, we went into the projects within wave 1 and did detailed site assessment for each of these projects, prepared the architectures, the initial fit gap analysis for the projects out there, came with a refined timeline, and made sure business was invested in the projects, got into the detailed activities like the backfilling of business resources, the collaborative partnership with the implementing partner and CoE. We had also dovetailed into many of the digital initiatives. The Career was doing a lot of things on the front end, on the e-commerce side, the CRM side. There are also a lot of factory initiatives. They are changing their supply chain platforms. They are standardizing on the MES platforms. So the ERP strategy has dovetailed into those initiatives also. And the most important thing to guardrail this project was setting up an ERP CoE. So while business had the flexibility to time their projects and decided when they want to move on to which of these technologies, it was the CoE which had to decide, implement the projects and decide how to maintain the contours of the program itself. Now, the CoE, when it's set about it, right from the organization build-up, inducting the best of champions into the program, and then started with a set of playbooks to run the program. These playbooks covered crucial areas like project methodology, including the concept of what is called hybrid agile to help the program, defining entry-exit criteria, data migrations, and setting a design authority for change management approvals. The next important enabler was creating business model templates, which will dovetail into the ERP configuration and solution itself. So like I told you, if you have a configured order solution for the HVAC business, the same model should fit for the refrigerant business also, because they both of them make complex products out there. You should not have different solutions for that in the SAP world. And then we have to standardize the ecosystem. Like in the past, we had various CRMs and MES system, PLM system. Ecosystem transition was also part of the CoE outlook. Now, to the other thing the CoE had to look for was the landscape was evolving even as we are going through the strategy. Carrier was divesting and acquiring companies. They acquired Toshiba and Viessmann, which added a bunch of ERPs to the list. At the same time, they are in the process of divesting business like fire and security and commercial refrigeration, which was removing some of the ERPs from the list. So the waves started getting refined from that perspective also. So we detailed out the complete requirements of wave 1, and we started the journey. And Sarah will now walk you through how the journey itself went.
Thank you. So our journey so far, now we've started and we are in the middle of a central finance and global deployment. That means our finance reportings are now going to be consolidated. No more SAP India, SAP Singapore doing their own finance reports. Ariba indirect procurement have made good progress. That's now live, and we have integrated with many of the major ERPs. We have standardized our applications for businesses such as supplier portals, supply chain planning, sales forecasting, journal entry automation. Major projects have been implemented. This time we're able to upgrade. We have this massive SAP instance in North America. We were not Unicode for a while because we were restricted by a system that we integrated to that could not accept Unicode data. So we were finally able to upgrade that. And with that upgrade came 16 more upgrades with the other integrated systems. That was a project that we did. And not only that we upgraded that system, we were able to migrate that to the cloud. So we were able to get rid of our legacy data center that was costing us a lot of money, and there was inflexibility. 20 years ago, it was probably the best idea, the greatest, but yeah. So we now have moved that to the cloud. Right now, 80% of our ERPs are actually hosted in the cloud. We're considering SAP RISE for our SAP China implementation. That's wave 2 of this project. And we have an SAP system, the field services for North America, is actually in a public cloud multi-tenant infrastructure. We get upgraded every 6 months, whether we like it or not, which is great. That means we're always in the latest, greatest version of S/4HANA. And we are forced not to customize because it's in a public multi-tenant infrastructure. It was a little difficult in the beginning, but we got used to it. The really positive impact of that to carriers is that we have less people. We need less people to maintain this system because no customization. Upgrades are done by SAP every 6 months. And then we have a bunch of SAP instances in AWS. The ERP migrations for Wave 1, they are on target and are already delivering value. One of our biggest ERP implementation for Wave 1 was consolidating 20 SAP, or not just SAP, 20 ERP applications to one S/4HANA in Europe. That's in Wave 1. Wave 2, we're targeting Asia. Of course, with that big implementations, we have other implementations as well in Wave 1. We had the fire and security implementation to S/4HANA. We have some consolidation in the North America SAP instance where we consolidate small ERPs into North America so that it's ready for its own S/4HANA journey. And in Wave 2, we're thinking of, we're planning of doing our Asia region, among other things. There will be other small projects in there. Because of this journey, one of the benefits that we've seen is, now we're moving with how the business progresses. Like when we acquire other businesses, it's very easy for us to consolidate them or include them in our ERP landscape. We now have playbooks, we now have standards that each project follows. So there's repeatability and learnings from the other project that the next project learn from. The other benefit is now we have MDG. So now we have a global view of master data. It's in the initial phase of its journey, but we're very excited to finally have a global view of master data. And because we're in the cloud, we have scalability and flexibility. Back then, when some of our SAP systems are in the legacy data center, whenever we need a memory upgrade, we have to pay for that upgrade, and we're stuck with that upgrade. In the cloud, we can upgrade or increase our memory, and then tomorrow, if we decide, oh, we don't really need that much, we made a mistake, or we divested a portion of this SAP instance, so now we need less memory, we can just go to lesser memory. And it's very easy to restart the system, restore from backup. In the legacy data center, it would take us a long time to restore from backup, and then we have to, whenever we refresh, we have to write SOW, so we don't have to do that in the cloud. So that's one of the benefits. What have we learned? We learned that we need to be flexible because our business changes. Even though we have a roadmap, we need to be adaptable and practical and change the roadmap as we see fit. Very recently, we added global controls systems in our list of business units. So now we have Toshiba and Viessmann, which we recently acquired. And it's also very crucial that we engage leadership and other stakeholders. This is because when we need to engage the subject matter experts and their leaders have told them, hey, you have to give time to this project, please help them, then it's very easy to engage the subject matter experts. The templates that Ronnie and team have set up, the Design Authority Review Board, the playbooks, all these standards are critical enablers, so we make sure that every project uses those standards. Agile also helped us. I know SAP implementations are very waterfall, we call our agile as hybrid agile because we try our best to be as agile as possible. Our SIT and UAT can overlap. Our development and SIT can overlap. And depending on the priority of the object, it can be done in the later phase of the project, even during UAT. We also use Jira in all our projects. That's our project management tool. Data migration. For some reason, data migration was not as important in our previous projects, but now it is very important, and it's very important to repeat data migration, have another client to do your data migration, because the first data migration is always not perfect. And then, of course, OCM. We make sure that change management is, we have a change management team in every project. I think that's it for our presentation. Do we have time for Q&A? No, we don't have time for Q&A.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your time.